For the first time in its 43 years of great racing, Road Atlanta in Braselton, Georgia plays host to a round of the Grand Am Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. Welcome to round 4 of the 2013 season here on Speed, the PricewaterhouseCoopers 250. A cool but sunny day here at Road Atlanta. Great weather for racing. Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Varsha with Calvin Fish and Dorsey Schrader. Home track for Calvin and myself, and it's great to see these cars here. Now, Dorsey, this is an old-school racetrack. We've got a big field of cars, very little lap time in practice. This could be pretty exciting.
Well, you're right about that. This racetrack, built in 1970, was state-of-the-art then, had a lot of racing room on it at the time, but the cars were fast in a straight line then, not so fast in the corners. Nowadays, whole different story. This is a high-speed racetrack. It's very hard to pass, and you can get in trouble here.
It can bite you really quickly, Dawson. We saw in this morning's warm-up session, our ST Championship leader, Derek Whitus, got caught out. Derek hasn't had a lot of lap time here this weekend. Coming through turn 11, underneath the bridge, you see a couple of cars peel off to the left. He gets in no man's land there between the track split, the racetrack, and the pit lane entrance. Backs that Mazda hard into the wall. A lot of work for that crew to get the car back on the grid starting from the pole today.
That's right, that grass is very wet. A lot of elevation change around Road Atlanta. Getting the car stopped if you have a problem is going to be difficult. Friday qualifying was washed out, so the field was set on points. There's the starting grid across the top of your screen. While you read that, let's check out the storylines in the big horsepower Grand Sport class.
First up, 38 Special, and the number 38 machine will be driven by Andy Lally this weekend, subbing for Spencer Pumpelly, who's busy out in Long Beach. Podium power, well, the 1-2-3 finishes at Barber sit 1-2-3 in the championship. And kicking Aston, they've been knocking on the door, a couple of podium runs recently. They need a win.
There's a great view of the downhill to the heavy braking area at turn 10 and the famous bridge corner. A long sweeper onto the front straightaway. Let's go down to the pit lane and hear from one of our 2 pit reporters for today's race, Chris Neville.
Hey, thanks, Bob. And Rum Bum Racing, 3 races in, they're doing it through consistency. This is the only team in Grand Sport that has had top 5s in all 3 races. And talking with driver Matt Plum, he says it's not just sheer speed, it's good decisions by the team. He says when you look at the practice and the qualifying sheets from the first 3 races, the Aston Martins are always at the top. But of those Multimatic Aston Martins, each of them has had at least 1 bad race. So if those cars start getting consistent, expect them to start charging in this championship. Bob?
Thanks, Chris. You see tires being warmed, cars getting a little sideways there at the top of the hill, heading into the world-famous Road Atlanta S's. Now let's turn to the high-revving, smaller engines of the Street Tuner class. Here are our storylines, Dorsey.
Let Freedom ring. This is Freedom Autosports, was leading the championship. That was a 25 car you saw that went into the ditch there. They're leading. They got to keep it going. Got to have heart. Honda of America Racing Team is a team that was so strong last year, winning 2 out of 3 races. They have not had a good start this season. They have to pull it together now. And a handful of Hondas. Yesterday in practice, of course, we didn't qualify, but in practice, 6 of the 8 top cars were Hondas.
And with that, we meet the newest member of our Speed Grand Am broadcast team, a 13-year veteran of Grand Am road racing. Here's Darren Law.
Thanks, Bob. Glad to be part of the team this weekend. You know, there's a great story here in Mark Pombo. Last year, he had a massive accident at Road America where he went off, hit the wall hard, and suffered a traumatic brain injury. He's had better part of a year now in recovery, but it's been a long road to get back, and it's really great to see him here this weekend. This is his first race back to racing. This is his home track where he's got a lot of friends and a lot of support, and he's had a lot of great history in racing here.
Both Mark and his brother Matt are second-generation racers, son of Pepe Pombo, who we hope to speak to today. Calvin, you and Dorsey were there for that accident.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, Bob, those images are so graphic, Dorsey. Everyone was scared that day about Mark's potential to survive that massive incident, and just so cool to see him back here racing this weekend.
Absolutely. That's a miracle.
Now let's take a closer look at the 2.5 miles of Road Atlanta with the help of Google Earth. Take it away, Dorsey.
Now we talk about this beautiful racetrack, one of my favorites for sure. I've been here since 1970 in Braselton, Georgia, right there. It's north of Atlanta. This racetrack is 12 turns around, 2.54 miles in length. It's very, very high-speed racetrack. And then today, with the cornering speeds of these cars, passing will be difficult.
Athens, Georgia, of course, home to the University of Georgia Bulldogs. Let's look at our onboard cameras. We'll have 2 in the ST class. Red Odosky starts the 26 Mazda MX-5. Derek Whitus in the 25 after repairs following that accident this morning. And 2 GS cars, Mark Bowden in the 46 BMW and Richard Golonlalo in the 78 Mustang. And with that, we have a green flag, and the field of 57 is on its way, and they're already 4 wide, headed for 1.
Look at that, Michael Marcel in the 71 Aston really looking aggressive here in this opening lap, trying to go around John Ferrano as they head up the hill out of turn 1. Look at the run bump machine. Nick Longy is gone.
And down the hill comes the separate start for the ST class.
And it's Derek Whitus leading in that damaged Mazda that we saw go in early today. He takes the turn 1 lead.
Look at that, Carl Gimple looks to the inside. Again, the grid was set on championship points with these. Oh, running wide there. That's Carbonell.
And he's going to spin. I don't know if he got help there or not. Off the outside, we talked about the wet grass. It rained all day yesterday. And there is the Freedom Autosport backup car, the spare car, if you will.
It's actually Red Odosky starting the car. Carbonell will jump in this machine. Looks like he got away with it, though, just because the initial start, you're not going through turn 1 quite as quick as you normally would be. So survived another one. Been a busy day so far for the Freedom Mazdas.
Turn 1's always busy. We'll take a look here, see if anything. No, just carries too much speed, Calvin. Carried off to the outside once you hit that grass, so it's all over with.
Just didn't have the tire temperatures what he needed to get that grip he was looking for, but survived it. On board with him here.
See, it pushes right off the racetrack.
Yeah, he's out in the gray there. He really wasn't hard on it. He just kind of floated out to the outside, see someone else almost follow him off. Kind of get fixation typically when someone spares off in front of you.
Wow, look at Nick Longy. Look at the lead he's pulled in 1 lap alone. That probably is because of the skirmish going on behind him.
Look at the 2 Multimatic Astons here. John Ferrano and Michael Marcel having a good dust up here for that 3rd position. Matt Bell settling down there in the 2nd spot. Those guys had such a great run at Barbados. He looked like the win could have been theirs. John Edwards had a great run, admitted after the race that he missed a shift, allowed the run bump car to get around him.
Oh, look at this skirmish here, and that's the division. That's kind of normal. We'll see this all day long.
Woo! So the 2 iMoto cars getting into it and nearly turning 1 around there underneath the bridge.
That turn 12 is such a confidence corner. You've got to go in there, hope the car takes his set, just keep your foot down.
It's crazy. I mean, it is so blind. I went for a ride in the Continental Tire 2-seater the other day with Ryan Dial, and you come over the top of the hill. You just don't see your reference point for the turn-in for turn 12 until you're almost there. That is definitely what they call a blind corner, no doubt.
Didn't talk about the weather, but when these guys practice, it was 86 degrees the other day, quite hot for this time of the year. Well, that all changed when it rained. Today, right now, I don't think it's barely in the 50s.
Let's get down to the pit lane. Darren Law standing by with Red Odosky's teammate, Andrew Carbonell.
I'm here with Andrew Carbonell in the car. You guys had your team car go off on the 1st lap. What happened, and are you guys okay?
Yeah, you know, the car's good. Looks like he got caught up there in the marbles coming in through turn 1. Went a little wide and just ran off track a little bit, but the Mazda MX-5 is, you know, doing perfect back on track, so we're coming back. We'll be back in the mix in no time.
2.5 hour race, so they're going to have to work quickly. This isn't the Rolex 24 at Daytona. Dorsey, we talked about this being an old school track, and when I think of old school, I think of those concrete walls not very far from the track verge.
No, and you are going so fast here. I mean, these camera angles, you don't really see the speed. This is one of the fastest racetracks you go on. Slowest corner on the racetrack, that's in the back where you come onto the straightaway. But except for that corner, you're in the 100-mile-per-hour plus category all the way around the racetrack.
Look at this. Corey Fergus under attack from the 32 machine of Mark Pombo. He's getting up to speed really quickly here. Good stuff.
Corey Fergus, another 2nd-generation racer. His father, John Fergus, won championships in sports cars. Ran a lot of races here at Road Atlanta, watching his son do it today.
Yeah, was my teammate several times during my career. John, of course, handing the reins over to his son, as his father did for him.
So cool to see Mark Pombo back out there again, having had that 10-month break, recovering from the injuries, and he's won here before a couple of times. He knows this track is his home track. Great to see him duking it out early in the going.
On to the long, curling Road Atlanta backstretch. Let's go to Chris Neville.
Well, Bob, since we didn't qualify yesterday, the 0-1 starting a little bit further back than it normally does because, Lawson, you guys had that bad race at COTA. You guys going to have to charge a little bit harder in this first stint?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Eric was going to qualify this weekend because actually I was out of town. I was at Long Beach doing double duty this weekend. So he was going to have his work cut out for him, but I think we had a pretty solid top 5 car. for qualifying, and unfortunately got rained out. But, you know, he's going to push hard. You're trying to get the thing up front, trying to get some clean air on the nose. I think brakes are going to be a problem here. So we'll see what we've got. We've got a good Team Chevy CKS Autosport Camaro, and see if we can go get this thing on the top step of the podium.
Now, since you're running out here in the Southeast and also on the West Coast, how challenging is that?
Oh, man, I took a red-eye last night. I got in at about 6 a.m. this morning with 2 hours sleep, and I'm here running a race. So once the adrenaline kicks in, you really can't feel it anyway, so I'm just ready to go.
Well, Austin Oceanback really earning his money this weekend.
He actually topped the practice times out in Long Beach yesterday in his Camaro in the GTS division there, so he's got potentially a great weekend ahead of him.
Now think about that. 2 tracks, both sides of the country, and the tracks could not be more different. The tight confines of the streets of Long Beach, California, and the wide open blasts of Road Atlanta. We'll take a break and return to the Continental Sports Car Challenge. There's a look at beautiful Chateau Elan, part of the complete reconfiguration of this North Georgia area, woven by Dr. Don Panos and his family. Took over Road Atlanta, invented the American Le Mans Series that has raced here since 1998, built Chateau Elan, Elan Motorsports Technologies, and a whole lot more. While we were in break, there were a couple of key passes we want to get you up to speed on. As you can see, the battle for the overall race lead has closed up.
We're on board here with Derek Whitus, who started from the pole, and look at Kyle Gimple, just blows by him there in the Compass 360, and Derek Whitus has now dropped down to 7th position after this pass for the lead. Maybe there is still some residual damage to that car that had the off this morning.
This is a sister car, the 26, getting tapped and spun around. It's been off and around twice now. See another look here.
This is a power move by Jade Buford. This is a pass for second on Matt Bell down into turn 10, using all of the brakes up. Remember, 2-hour, 45-minute race. You got to conserve a little bit, but he's not holding back.
It's going to pay him back here.
Now this is for the race lead because the 13 of Nick Longi, the Rum Bum Porsche, has spun itself out of the lead. Let's see if we can pick up what happened.
I'll see if he got some help here.
Yeah.
Jade Buford was looking really aggressive. This is down into turn 6.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a bit of a no man's land you want to go. I mean, you really just sort of like flow a lot of speed into that corner. And pretty aggressive move by Jade there.
And no question about the dent on the quarter panel back there indicating the contact.
And Nick Longi has fallen all the way back to 8th place now. He must have a problem because one car after another is going by, or else he just can't get it turned around up there in turn 6. Let's go to Darren Law.
I'm here with Scott Maxwell in the Multimatic Aston Martin. Scott, you said you've come to this weekend with something different in setups.
Yeah, I mean, usually we end up with the 4 cars pretty similar, all the Multimatic Astons, but because of the lack of track time, our car's substantially different than the other cars, more than normal, but Jade and I are both happy with it, and he's doing a superb job. We started 9th, and we're disappointed that qualifying got canceled because Jade's killer at qualifying, but he's now P1. He's just doing a great job.
Great. Thanks. To you, Chris.
Well, last year we typically saw the 61 Roush Mustang at the front, Billy Johnson and Jack Roush Jr. This year, not so much. Over the offseason, you guys lost 500 revs, also an air restrictor, and really that's hurt you guys with the gearbox, the stock gearbox in that car.
Yeah, we also got a little bit more weight added to us when we had the Bosch ABS system, which is the system that almost everybody runs now. So all those things, the weight, the restrictor, and the RPMs definitely just add up and put us in a little bit of a disadvantage compared to last year.
Yeah, running outside the top 10 right now, but Jack Roush Jr. trying to get that car to the front.
Yeah, they had that big win at Daytona, but Billy said, I really know how to draft. I've been taught by the Roush organization how to work the car around Daytona. He said that really wasn't representative of the pace of the car this year. They've also had problems. Dorsey had that broken brake line, which was really a freak incident. More drama here. This is our championship leader. Derek Whitus in the wars. This one is going nowhere now. Look at the damage to the front end.
That looks like up in turn 3. I'm just guessing, but that's not going to go anywhere for sure. Left front suspension damage beyond repair. He won't drive it back today.
Wow. Coming into this race with a healthy points lead, that will be gone.
Full course caution. Just as we said at the top of the show that the Freedom Autosport team was strutting their stuff this season, this weekend thus far has been a challenge.
12-point lead coming in, but there's 35 for a victory. So this is what we talk about with this championship. It's so competitive. Do you know what I mean? It's hard if you have a DNF, you suddenly plummet down the points total. Let's have a look here. Just in there wide, does he's offline.
Yeah, he was offline and didn't get down to the apex, and you saw the opposite lock. It is turn 3. I was right about that.
Very tricky corner, and Derek wasn't here yesterday, so he's kind of relearning the track. Off of turn 1, and you want to get tucked over to the left a little bit sooner.
Totally blind corner, and he's just offline, Calvin. Oh, big hit, too.
Yeah, it didn't look as bad in terms of the line from the onboard, but certainly from the overview camera, you could see that he's kind of a little bit late in setting up for turn 3.
Well, it's very light there. You're coming up over the brow of the hill. It's blind. If you're not online, the car gets up on its haunches, if you will, wants to get loose anyway, and he was just enough in the gray area where there's no grip.
And a very green racetrack after all that Friday rain.
Good point. There you see right there the hill as you watch these cars come up and over. You can't see from a driver's standpoint. You can't see the apex over here.
And if you got the car at the wrong angle, Dorsey, then you hit the brakes. You're pinning the nose just as the rear is getting light. I think that's what happened.
Let's get down to the Freedom pits. Tom Long is a co-driver for Derek Whitus, and Darren Law is with him.
I'm here with Tom with the Freedom Autosport team, and I understand Derek wasn't here earlier in the weekend, so he hasn't had a lot of track time. What happened, and are you guys out?
Yeah, it's a tough deal for our Freedom Autosport Mazda MX-5. It looks like Derek got in some sort of incident out there. He's been short on track time this weekend due to business commitments, and he's doing the best he can, and was starting up front, running strong, and we're just disappointed, obviously, for Mazda and for the team. So hopefully we'll be able to rebound, and we'll get back at him in June.
All right, thanks.
On top of everything else, there's a long time to think about it before the next round of the championship at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Time for another break. We'll be back with more of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge on a beautiful Saturday at Road Atlanta. Stay with us. We are ready to go green as the field comes down through turn 10. Our leader is Jade Buford in the 55 Multimatic Aston Martin, but not for long.
No, he's going to get a stop and hold for 60 seconds for roughing up Nick Longy there, that incident down in turn 6. So some of these GS cars have decided to pit. We're right around the 30-minute mark. They couldn't quite get their driver changed, but we're going back to green. But Matt Bell will assume the lead once Jade Buford peels off. He has to serve this penalty under green, remember.
Careful about hooking that left rear over that curb. Matt Bell looking for a way by, but he doesn't need to pass Jade Buford. Will be pitting shortly.
Hopefully they'll be telling him that on the radio too, so he doesn't mess up.
Nick Mancuso is having a brilliant run here, really showing a lot of form here this year and switching to the Multimatic, and certainly at home in an Aston Martin. His dad has a franchise up in Chicago area, but the young man is doing a brilliant job, and I think he's going to give Matt Bell a hard time here once Buford peels off here. I think Nick Mancuso is showing some speed here in the early going doors.
Yeah, these Aston look really good here, no question about that. I agree with you, Cal.
Let's hear from Matt Bell's teammate, John Edwards, with Darren Law.
John, you guys are running pretty good right now in P2. How's the car, and how do you guys stack up against the Astons?
Well, it seems like the Astons have really got the edge on us today, but good news is we just heard the 55 car is getting a penalty, so stop plus 60 at this track. They might even lose a lap, so that's really good for us that Jade would have taken their car out of contention essentially with that penalty. Because once Maxwell got in that car, it was going to be really fast. So we're still a little concerned about the other Astons, but right now it looks like we're going to inherit the lead, and we're in the best spot for the finish.
All right, good luck.
Well, those Astons are really strong under braking, Bob. You could see Mancuso really diving in deep there.
But Matt Bell chose not to wait, made the pass. And here they come down the hill as the 55 hits pit lane.
Kind of hindered his teammate, though, by doing the way he did that, letting the Camaro get by. Knowing he was going in the pits there.
Here's another look at the incident approaching turn 6.
This is a place you don't need to make a pass, because as you come out of 6, you get into the brake zone for 7 immediately. It's just a little too aggressive this early on in the race, and he's going to pay a big penalty because of it.
See the damage there on the left front fender, and it's just a corner door. So you're braking certainly and trying to get some speed out of it, but it's not really a hard out-braking type corner. You flow so much speed through the middle of the apex there, and there you can see this 60-second hold. John Edwards talked about, will you lose a lap? I think with the pit lane delta here, it's going to be right out of laps. It's going to be critical that he can jump out in front of Matt Bell and try and stay on that lead lap.
You know what I'm seeing here, too? You look back there in 5th place, and you see Nick Longy in the Rum Bum Porsche, which was leading. This is something this team is really good at. They don't panic. They never panic. I mean, they had their little problem there, and he's just going to sit and ride now, and that's what that car does. It rides most of the day. But guarantee you, at the end of the day, it's going to be ready to pounce.
Here's a quick look at our Continental Tire race analysis. Continental Tire is the official tire of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge.
Here we go. Mancuso to the outside is going to be the last of the late breakers there. He's got it, but the line is with Matt Bell. He forces the issue down to the inside. Great racing here. Nice and clean. Nick Mancuso takes the lead for Multimatic.
Boy, and the Aston's got brakes, no doubt about it.
And here they come. This is how close it's going to be. So these guys are going to be up to speed as Buford exits pit lane out and serve that stop and hold for 60.
45-mile-an-hour pit lane speed limit, but he will get back out ahead of the field. Let's see if he can stay there. They are at full steam.
He's going to have to really hump it because he's coming up that big hill with no speed. These guys are coming on that hill with 100-mile-per-hour plus.
Yeah, you lose about 25 seconds just by rolling down pit lane compared to staying on the racetrack. And then with that minute hold, it's about a minute 25, and these guys are running about a 131, 132 range. So that's why he's just got out, squeaked out in front, and stayed on that lead lap. He needs a break. He needs a caution.
Think of all the years you've seen these famous S's, picturing Can-Am cars and Formula 5000, the Camel GT, you name it. Same track, different faces, different machinery down through the decades.
I just cannot believe I've been coming to this racetrack 43 years. It just doesn't sit well with me somehow. But I love this place, and I always have.
Yeah, but you were 30 when you first came here. Pair of Camaros now duking out the 0-1 machine. Eric Curran behind the wheel. They had that brilliant victory at Indianapolis last year, so two Camaros going for the second spot. But here we look at the replay. Nick Mancuso using the draft nicely. That Camaro punches a big hole in the air, slides it down to the outside, not the ideal spot, but he takes it about a car length deeper. Matt Bell tries to respond, Doss.
And you can see the car twitching under braking, Calvin. It really lets you know he's right at the edge there, about to lock up the brake, but no doing. And he makes that pass look easy.
Now you see that Nissan parked on the interior of corner 10B. Let's see what happened to him.
Side-by-side braking
He's
again.
going to get attacked, I think, here.
Oh, dear. Yeah, I guess so. That looked,
by his sister car. That's a little,
that was a full-on brake lockup.
That's not how they drew it up.
No.
Pretty good damage, too, Calvin, when they hit like that.
What a brilliant victory that team had at Daytona. Just came out of nowhere and surprised the whole ST paddock with a brilliant victory.
You cannot risk getting your wheels in the grass today. I mean, it rained so hard all day yesterday. You know, it's just suicide to drop a wheel off now.
So the ST lead is still the number 75. Carl Gimbel took that lead from Derek Whitus early in the going, and spoke to Carl Thompson this weekend from the Compass 360 camp. He said we need to get big points back on the board. And that caution is out. And that is really going to help Jade Buford, who stayed on that lead lap. So he really caught a break there.
Yeah, he did.
There's the debris.
You got a debris and you got the car sitting there, so they're going to have to clean that up. And that's going to, like you said, give Jade exactly what he needs to get back in the game.
Yeah, Carl Thompson was talking about the fact that Carl Gimpel and Ryan Eversley really lost a lot of ground in the points at the last round at Barber. They got a drive-through penalty for passing the pace car. They had a car in front of them that didn't go. They thought the rule was, okay, if the car doesn't go after a lap, we go. That's not the case this year, so they got a drive-through penalty for that, dropped them several positions, and hence cost them points in the championship.
Saw Laura Tallman was the driver of the 33 Nissan Altima Coupe parked there. Winners with her teammate Vesko Kazarov at the opening round of the year at Daytona International Speedway. Not today, however. We'll take a break and return to Road Atlanta. Welcome back to a beautiful 60-degree April Saturday at Road Atlanta. I'm Bob Varsha with Calvin Fish, Dorsey Schrader, Chris Neville, and Darren Law for the fourth round of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge for 2013. During the break, a little pit stops chaos.
Well, for those of you wondering where Lee Diffie is working these days, he's actually one of the record drivers here at Road Atlanta.
I think he's in that red one.
But lots of action here. You see the Rum Bum car in the background as Nick Longy jumping out, Matt Plum jumping in there. And I tell you, one guy who caught a huge break with the timing of that yellow was this man, Jade Buford. He got caught back up. He stayed on that lead lap. And they are back in the game with Scott Maxwell behind the wheel, and they have served their penalty.
That's a very potent car. So they really cut a break on that one. That's going to be a hard way to make up.
And down the hill they come, and we are back to green after our second full course caution here at Road Atlanta.
2 wheels off with the BMW in third place. Ashley McCalmont got away with one. You don't want to be dropping wheels off with the wet grass here.
Now Nick Mancuso leads in that Aston. That's Tunis Kazimierz. Oh, look at that. The Ashley there getting wide through turn one, I believe it was. Ashley McCormick hangs on to that Camaro, but that was a wild ride.
Yeah, it was Hugh Plum, actually, I was talking about it dropped off. Not Ashley, but she did it afterwards anyway. So.
Wild stuff down here through the S's. You talk about the ribbon of racetrack that you have here, Dorsey. Never more so than down through those S's. Really a one-line racetrack, but Plum makes it stick there.
That's probably the most photographed racetrack part of any racetrack ever. Those S's, you can do them flat out, but you have to be one at a time.
Great rhythm. Oh, look at John Edwards looking really racy there in the background, trying to plow his way through the field there.
Looking at the inside at turn 6, then the outside. Now he's on the outside at 7.
Two distinctive, different types of racetrack on each side. From turn 1 to turn 6, there's not much passing ability, but from right here, from turn 7 all the way back to turn 1, this is where you get your passing done.
That's Andy Lally now behind the wheel of that 38 BGB Motorsports Porsche. So it's Edwards and Lally there in the middle of the pack, two of the best in the business going hard at it. Here comes Plum in the Rum Bum machine. Championship leader.
Tucked right up underneath the back. You can get a good pull down this straightaway. It's really high speed here.
That's such a crowd there in the 10 complex.
Look at this. Great run by the 48 car there coming off the corner. Charles Espinal makes a big move on John Edwards. The BMWs have looked really strong here this weekend.
Well, you know what? When you see this, when you've got them running that close, you're always wondering about the big one. If somebody gets it wrong.
Edwards gets the position back. Look, he retaliates immediately. Then they clear some more cars as they're coming through this field. Spoke to John this weekend. He wasn't real happy with that Camaro. He says there's like an oscillation with the suspension, particularly up here in 3. You run the curb, then the front to rear suspension doesn't want to settle down for a long time. And he said we're losing time because of it.
On board the 78 Grand Sport Mustang. David Levine now in the cockpit, I believe. More teammate follies.
Yeah, that's the problem with when you have all your cars in one basket.
Oh, one of the Bimmer World cars going around. They've had a lot of success here at Road Atlanta over the years, but
didn't see if
just fast and furious at this stage.
I don't know if he got help or not. I mean, there was a lot of cars in that frame right there.
Well, we talk about the day that the Freedom Motorsport guys have had the incident in the warm-up. Derek White has had a massive incident in turn 3, but the sister car is now leading. Andrew Carbonell behind the wheel.
This team has been very strong for the last 2 years. You know, they're really a good team of cars. Mazda's doing a good job.
The 81 is in.
Damage to that right rear.
I believe it's Greg LaFouche behind the wheel now. Well, that action continues. Let's hear from Chris Neville.
Well, Bob, we heard Darren Law talk about how excited we're all to see Mark Pombo back at the racetrack. Mark, you just finally did your first stint back behind the wheel. How did it feel?
Felt good to be back behind the wheel. We were a little frustrated because something changed from when last time we went out to the start of the race. So we came in, pitted early, trying to fix the problem, got the driver change done, and we've just made a bunch of changes, changed the tires twice, made a bunch of changes to the shocks, trying to look the car over. Something is rolling over a little too far on the car, and you just can't get to power when the whole car is flexing like that.
Now, Mark, do you remember anything from that accident at Road America?
No. I remember the day before, and I remember like 5 days later, but I don't remember anything from that day.
Well, he's been in therapy for about 10 months, still working hard at it, and obviously he's happy to be back at the racetrack.
And he was hard at it as we see these images again. Just a massive, massive accident at the highest part of speed of the racetrack there down in the Canada corner, and that one is just hard to watch.
And there's, of course, a reason that you don't remember wrecks like this, and the reason is so you can go back and race another day.
And he was racing hard, Dorsey.
Yeah,
we saw him there making some late-breaking moves down into turn 10 today.
Absolutely. I mean, he was going for it, and that's good to see. I mean, he's got himself back in very good shape, good fit shape.
The brain is an amazing thing. You see those extra bits of road coming down through the S's. Those have been added in recent years to accommodate motorcycles, which, of course, have gotten so quick on a track like this. They perhaps... Oh, we got trouble.
Turn 6 again, Calvin. One of the corners on the racetrack that's the only corner that's banked.
These ST cars sort of like to go side by side through there, and it's not working out for them.
No, it's not a good thing to go side by side through 6, because 7 being the most important corner on the racetrack, you have to be single file to get through there properly, and the reason it's the most important is it leads onto that big long back straightaway.
Yeah, and there's damage to this Bimmer World car. Seth Thomas behind the wheel. He's a local driver, knows this racetrack like the back of his hand. Let's take another look at it as they come down into this corner. Seth's down to the inside, gets touched there by the 76 machine by Ray Mason.
And I'm calling fault on Mason for that one. from
Talk
the
about
outside.
threading the needle in traffic.
It's also a blind corner. When you come around that corner, yeah, a lot of damage, Calvin. You're right.
A tie rod or something.
Steering's out on the.
That's a long way from the pit entrance.
And that's a shame because they were hoping for great things here this weekend. But there we see our leader, Nick Mancuso. He set sail a little bit from Shelby Blackstock in the Roush Mustang. Hugh Plummer's up to third, starting to put the pressure on. And Tunis Kazimit's closing in the second of the Multimatics, now in fourth.
Let's get more on the 55 incident earlier with Jade Buford. Here's Darren Law.
Jay, with the Multimatic team, you guys had an early incident in the race, and after leading, had you come into the pits. Now you're sitting in 18th. Do you have a car to get back up to the front? And what happened?
Yeah, I think we do. Just running through the field, I think I had a good bit more pace than some of the front runners, and I slightly misjudged a passing maneuver on Nick Longy, and I just went in maybe a little too deep, and as he shut the door, I was going to make the corner, but I was going to meet the back of his car. So I'm sorry to those guys at Rum Bum. Wasn't intentional, but I think we still have a good car for the rest of the race.
All right, to you, Chris.
Well, Nick Longy was the one behind the wheel, and it sounds like Jade just apologized there for what happened on the racetrack, but that doesn't help you guys and pushing you back a little bit further in this field.
Yeah, that was a shame. The car, the Rum Bum 13 Porsche, was running great. Continental tires were really hooked up. This is a fantastic racetrack. We were catching, we had a good lead, cut up into traffic as we knew would happen here in an ST car. And I don't know if Jade just, I'll forgive him this time. He just looked down at his shoelaces this time, but there were 10 ST cars in front of us. I don't know what he thought was going to happen, but they said everybody makes mistakes, onward and upward, we can still win. It's a great team, we're going to bounce back.
Yeah, and they've got a nice lead in the championship, too.
They do, and they bounce back. They're actually a lap down at Barber, and miraculously they caught a yellow, and everyone pitted to allow them to leap back onto that lead lap, and Joe Vardy and the boys perform their magic right now, running down in the 15th spot.
Yeah, Joe Vardy keeps those guys' heads cool. He'll talk to them and say, all right, just calm down. It's not a big deal. A lot of race left. We'll get it back. And that's what you need. You need a good cornerman sometimes.
Joe Verdi has seen a couple of races in his time. Great strategist, great team manager. Another break coming up, and we'll be back. Just under an hour and a half remaining in round 4 of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge for 2013. We'll be back to Road Atlanta in a moment. Great view of turn 12 onto the front straightaway here at Road Atlanta with Calvin Fish and Dorsey Schrader. I'm Bob Varsha. Darren Law and Chris Nebler are in the pits. And there is your overall and Grand Sport class leader, Nick Mancuso in the Aston Martin.
Now remember, Nick has not pitted yet. The remainder of this GS field pretty much has done a pit stop. So these guys are rolling the dice a little bit, but we're an hour 19 to go. These cars will go about 55 to 60 minutes on green flag running. So I think what the team are doing is splitting their strategy, hoping that they'll do this pit stop here for Nick shortly, and then maybe catch a few more yellows, maybe do it on one stop here today.
We've got 2 yellows in the book so far, and one of them was a 6-lapper. And the 76 is going to get a penalty for speeding on pit road, we hear.
So he not only gets passed, he gets bad news. Ryan Eversley, I believe, in that 76 Honda. Now we'll see how 80 picked up the class lead in the ST class. There's the 92 moving under the 24. Here comes the 80 from behind.
Good run off of turn 7. That's what you want to get. Now you use the draft coming down this big straightaway.
This is in replay. David Baum's in the 24.
These cars draft quite well down this long straight. You set yourself up for that brake zone down at the bottom of the hill, which is exactly what they're doing.
Look at the damage to
I keep waiting for pieces to fly off.
Here we go, 3 wide.
Oh, that was
3
deep.
wide.
That was really deep. What a move there by Colin Blam. Taking the lead. Awesome stuff.
And then running away.
Yeah, that was a really set up perfectly pass maneuver in the brake zone.
We saw Seth Thomas have an incident right in that very corner he just went through, turn 6, and thought the Bimmer World cars were going to be stronger this weekend. They're certainly showing it now, leading their class with 1 car with damage.
Now this is all flat out running here. How do you set up somebody for a turn 10 pass on this long, curvy back straight.
You know, it really starts back there in turn 7. You need to come off that corner clean with a minimal amount of wheel spin and then tuck up underneath whoever's in front of you and don't pop out. Stay there until you start down this hill. Right here you see it. They pop out there. It gives you a run. It gives you momentum.
And then you just got to get alongside. You don't need to keep braking any deeper. Once you got that track position to the inside, just hold the guy out to the outside and make the pass nice and clean. But it all stems from turn 7. And that's why tire management is so important, Dorsey. If you eat up the tires, then you can't get off of turn 7. That will then affect your terminal speed at the end of the straightaway.
Well, we're hitting the 75. Now we'll have a stop and hold for 60 seconds. Of course, once again for contact.
Here comes Lally, first time for BGB. He's up to second. It looks like he's got around Hugh Plum there on the exit of turn 11, up under the bridge. Lally, a man on the move.
Got a little loose there, too. These Porsches have been hard on the rear tires at this racetrack, which it's normal here. This is a high G-load forced track. You really, like this corner, you climb this hill, it really lays down on that left rear, pushes it into that asphalt and makes a lot of heat.
Saw Andy yesterday, said, how's the car? He just had a wry grin, which means it's really, really good.
Yeah, right. Because Andy Lally, another of a large double handful of drivers who hail from this part of Georgia, and they know this track really well. Andy Lally,
12 miles away, I think, Bob, and
Dacula, Georgia, celebrating his 20th year in motorsports is Andy.
They get Donahue in here with the fall line BMW, and they're under the hood. Not looking good there.
Had some drama with the engines at Barber as well. So these boys, they always push the envelope with development with these full-line BMWs. But David filling in for Brian Sellers, who's busy with ALMS duties this weekend in Long Beach. So David's run with the team before.
Didn't really see him do anything other than look at it, which is never good.
It's a good battle here. John Edwards looks like he's getting around Shelby Blackstock there. So Edwards on the move, but certainly not at the same pace or rate that Andy Lally, because these two cars were together, and Lally's all the way up to second, and Nick Mancuso is going to need to be pitting here pretty soon. So I think Lally will assume the lead here within a few laps.
Boy, Shelby not giving up.
No.
He runs it right down to the very last moment and then finally has to get away, get off of it.
He's a really impressive young man and a young driver too. I mean, really showing a lot of good form here in his initiation with sports car racing.
Well, he's splitting his time between this and the Mazda Pro Series, doing really good in open wheel. I'm quite impressed with him, quite honestly, over there. You know, Calvin, it's a whole different thing because you've done both too. You've gone open wheel to one of these big Mustangs. So.
Yeah, so different. You're talking about a lightweight, stiffly sprung single-seater car, and then you get in one of these cars which you literally have to muscle around. But I think it's a great way to go in terms of his learning curve. He's learning to drive different types of race cars and doing both really effectively right now.
And his biggest fan, his mother, country music legend Reba McEntire, is here this weekend watching Shelby in action.
She goes to almost all of his races, all that she can. You know, and she gets excited. Woo! One of the Roush Mustangs sideways down the hill.
That'll be Billy Johnson.
That was a handful.
He's a man who's got a lot of ability too. Certainly some great talent in that Roush camp.
Had a lot of trouble with the cars this year, and then they've been working quite hard to go through some of the problems. Early on, some brake issues, they've got those resolved, and they've now got, you know, when you fix one thing, it almost always creates a problem somewhere else, and that's kind of what they're dealing with right now.
And Plum working on Scott Maxwell for 11th.
And can't talk enough about the break they got by getting that 55 car out after that stop and hold for 60, just in front of the leaders, and then catching the yellow was just a great piece of fortune. You can't write that up. You just need those little pieces of racing luck during the course of a race season.
And they go by the Camaro of Ashley McCalmont. 10th. Not yet, no.
She's fighting hard, but good clean racing here, giving each other a little bit of room.
Oh, you don't want to touch anywhere in through there.
That's wild stuff.
And
look
here
at
comes
She's
12.
hanging in there. She is hanging in there. She's not going to give it up to the championship leader.
Now that's
Go, girl.
That's a gutsy maneuver right there to inside to somebody in the turn 12.
She's given Matt some room as well.
Yeah,
Then finally Matt takes the position away. So good racing.
Oh, and she gets a little loose there.
Sort of loose there on one of the restarts before through turn 1, so that Camara's a bit of a handful.
And here comes the Mustang of Billy Johnson, the 61.
We saw him loose down the S's last lap.
Let's go to Chris in the pit lane.
Well, Dr. Jim Norman usually paired up with Atlantan Spencer Pompelli. When you don't have one, you grab another guy from Atlanta, Andy Lally, this weekend, and he's making it look easy right now.
Yeah, Andy's doing a great job. You know, we missed Spencer. Spencer's with ALMS and over in Long Beach, but we pulled in his good buddy and my friend Andy Lally, and he's making it look easy.
Yeah, Andy's having a great run right now, and Jim Norman having a great year in the Rolex Series.
It's been an interesting month for the Norman family. Dr. Jim Norman went to the Boston Marathon to watch his wife compete in the race. He was going to compete himself, but a medical issue kept him off the road. Of course, we all know what transpired in Boston in the last couple of weeks. We'll be back. Back at Road Atlanta, coming up on an hour remaining in round 4. The Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge for 2013. Bryce Waterhouse-Cooper's 250 with Calvin Fish and Dorsey Schrader, as well as Chris Neville and Darren Law. I'm Bob Varsha. Let's catch you up on some of the action in the pits during the break. Finally, the number 16 of Nick Mancuso came in, the Aston Martin, trying to go on a one-stop strategy, it appears.
Yeah, he came in with about an hour 10 on the board, so it was about 3 minutes ago. So they're going to need some help. They can't stretch it that far under green, but this was a fantastic move. The battle for second between Plum and Edwards, floating the car around the outside. That is a beautiful pass, Dorsey, in that part of the racetrack.
It was really cool to watch. Unfortunately, they got to the straightaway and things got turned around. But look at the difference now.
There's Andy Lally in the 38. Currently running on the lead.
Compass 360 boys have had a lot of dramas down on pit lane today. Darren, what's going on?
Here with Carl Thompson from the 360 team, and they've actually had several violations. Carl, what's been going on and what have been the problems?
Well, I got to say it's nice to see you on that side of the camera, Darren.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we got some new guys in the tower, and they're making calls on contact. I support that entirely. I'm not sure we were on the right end. I mean, I know Ryan got caught up with a car that he was passing, and he got the bent suspension, and he also got the pit lane stop and go. So the other thing we've got is coming into pit lane, we made some changes over the course of the weekend through the drivers' meetings, and we moved the pit lane start way up the hill. So the guys are used to coming roaring down the hill and then getting on the pit lane speed. And of course, and it's not like they're over by 20 miles an hour, they're over like 1. But you know, the Hondas are strong. We're feeling good. We were able to run up front. If we're honest, we could use a yellow.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Isn't it funny how all the car owners like the penalties for the bumping and the contact now, since they have to pay for the damage bill?
Certainly cleaned things up a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I think at Barber's a tough racetrack to really gauge it on, but it was almost too clean a race. We're used to the guys having a bit of argy-bargy towards the end, and I think certainly the words from the race director has got in their heads a little bit about how you can race now. But here we see that battle again, raging between Plum and Maxwell down the back straightaway.
It's complicated when you have all these cars this competitive like this down in the brake zone. Who do you want to follow? I mean, you got two lines of thought here.
That Aston is really strong on the brakes, though, and you can see at speed that rear fender that got hammered down in turn 6 is actually coming out. It's almost like a little ear sticking out to the outside. That'll hurt his straightaway speed a little bit, Dorsey.
Definitely. If he's not in a draft, it'll hurt it quite a bit. And just think about sticking your hand out the window at 55 miles an hour and look at the size of that panel and add 100 miles an hour to it.
I can't believe you still do that, put your hand out the window.
I like doing that, except until a bug hits you.
You get the sense that there's more cars than just the Compass 360 guys in ST and the 16 Aston Martin in GS that are hoping for some more yellow here in the second half.
I'll tell you what's going to be a quick car here at the end is Terry Borscheller in the 23 machine. Came so close to win at Coda. 51 is in, Chris.
Yeah, Shelby Blackstock, great run today. Started 16th, ran that car up into the top 5. They're going to do 4 Continental Tires fuel, put Joey Atterbury behind the wheel. And this pair, they've had a little bit of a rough go this year, but they're progressively getting better. They started out the season, I think, a 30th place back at Daytona, worked their way up into the teens at Coda, and then top 10 a couple weeks ago at Barber. So it looks like these guys are looking great. I talked to Joey right before he got in the car, and he said, this is the best Mustang they have definitely had. And Shelby's just got his helmet off here. So we're going to have a quick word with him. Shelby, obviously a great run. It looks like you have a good car today.
Yeah, definitely. The car Roush Performance gave us a really good car so far, and We do have our disadvantages. Definitely going in the brake zone at turn 10. It's like stopping a freight train. But other than that, it's been really good. It was a good stint, really good racing. It's definitely fun to come from 16th. So hopefully Joy goes out there and gets to the front.
I also hear your mom's here this week, and she's not down in pit lane, and the rumor was she's spotting for you guys over in turn 1. How's that working?
I don't know, spotting, maybe hands over her eyes, but yeah, she's over in turn 10, I think, right now. But hopefully they're enjoying it just as much as we are.
Well, good run today, man.
All right, thank you very much to Continental Tire also.
Well, wouldn't you know that the son of a country music star like Reba McEntire would find a way to get a train into a description of what's going on the racetrack?
I think I know what he's talking about. So do you, Calvin, trying to stop a train. Those Mustangs are pretty heavy, and that's how they do the performance balancing on these classes. A lot of times, weight versus power.
That was going to be critical, though. 62 minutes on the board. These guys are going to need at least one yellow, I would think, to not see pit lane again for fuel. We see the 71 car in. Kazimit's behind the wheel. Mike Marcel did a brilliant job in the opening stint, really coming to grips with this Aston Martin. He loves the car.
Got a couple more laps than the team car did, too, on fuel.
We're getting closer and closer to that window.
Let's get back down to the pit lane. Darren Laws with an old teammate.
David. Hang on, David just left.
Yeah.
Hang on one sec.
Well, that'll happen. That's part of the initiation for new pit reporting.
Especially when it's an old teammate.
Go ahead, Darren.
Hey, I'm here with David Donahue, my old teammate. Hey, buddy, how are you? What happened? You guys are running good?
Are you being serious?
Huh?
Are you being serious?
I'm being serious.
Okay.
Look at this. Hey, it says Brian Sellers. You guys are both pretty short, obviously, be able to fit in the same suit.
Yeah, it's amazing we shared the same seat.
Yeah.
But,
so what happened? You guys are running good?
Yeah, the motor's been a bit soft all weekend, and it just wasn't having to go to the end of the race. So we were getting some warnings on the dash, and rather than letting it grenade on the track, we just brought it in.
All right, too bad. Thanks, guys.
Come on, David. We're always serious when we walk up to you with a microphone and a camera.
Well, I'd say if there's a fuel window, this is it, because Vardy's bringing his car in, and he's pretty sharp on the numbers. So we see the Rum Bum machine rolling down pit lane. There's the number 50 car, and the 01 looks like they're doing a stop as well. So it'll be Oschenbach getting behind the wheel, serving double duty this weekend, and Chris is right there on the spot.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, Losh and Oschenbach, it looks like they might be just popping into that fuel window right now, trying to check my watch and look at the laps that need to be run. So they're going to do 4 Continental tires, fuel on this stop. Now you talked to, almost lost a tire going out onto the racetrack down here at pit out. So that could have been a scary moment going into turn 1 for a couple cars. But one of the officials grabbed that real quick. So have to see if maybe the team gets a penalty on that. But talked to Eric Curran a few minutes ago about that action in pit lane, and he was just shaking his head, said he got in full into the ABS, trying not to get into that truck down here in pit lane probably about a half an hour or so ago.
A little bit surprised that the official went and got that tire.
Well, there's a sharp, because they're right at the end of pit road where it's downhill, and that wheel would have gone out on the racetrack. This is a pass for the ST lead. That was Terry Borscheller getting around the 80. And that's a 2-time Rolex 24-hour winner. He knows how to get the job done.
That was a safety issue on that tire. I mean, that official was right to go get it, but by the rules, I don't know if that's going to lay well.
Well, we'll see what the stewards think of it. Meanwhile, pit stops continue. Here comes the 55 from 7th, Scott Maxwell.
And again, with the strategy here, Bob, once that fuel window opens, if you have good track position, you really can't afford to stay out, because a yellow will just kill you because the pit lane closes and you're going to get stacked up there. So once the leaders start to come down, it should really be a domino effect with all of the guys in the hunt. Here we see Lally, BGB boys, always on top of strategy as well.
In from 3rd. Look at, they've stretched that fuel hose.
Yeah, he's a little bit far away from the wall. You can see that.
That'll slow down the gravity flow of the fuel, won't it? Well, one way or another, you see the heat haze in the pit lane. It's turning into a beautiful Saturday afternoon here at Road Atlanta. That's not the way the coach drew it up. We'll be back with more in a moment. There's a look at the vineyards that are a part of the Chateau Elan complex. Always international flavor here at Road Atlanta, because that's the way Dr. Don Penoz wanted it. Picking up the action. See some damage, more damage on the back of the 13. That's that little ear poking out into the airstream that Calvin and Dorsey have been talking about.
I think that's kind of residual damage from the first hit.
Yeah,
with the Aston. It's just kind of come loose now.
It's getting split, I think, as it's dragged down this straightaway by the air. It's just pulling it more and more apart.
Ultimately, hopefully, it'll pop off because that is slowing his straightaway progress.
These guys just made a pit stop just under the hour mark to go, so they should be good to go on fuel.
Kind of shuffles everybody about right now.
This ST battle isn't going anywhere. 43 and the 80 have been shuffling back and forth.
Pair of BMWs, pretty equally matched.
Dynam Power now in the underneath the hood of the 23 car, and the team were really liking that at the last race. Came so close at Coda, as we mentioned. Terry Borchella led a bunch of laps there. Got out shuffled a little bit at the end. He wasn't real happy with how he got barged out of the way, but the Mazdas were awfully tough that day.
Steve Dinan, the BMW engine guru, does a really good job with all these. He probably does, I'd say, 80% or more of the BMW power plants.
Yes, beautiful car and a really well-prepped team. Here comes the pass. Saw Borchella take the lead up in turn 3 a few minutes ago, and the Bimwell car returns the favor deep on the brakes down into turn 1.
Such a great corner. I love that setup, that pass there.
It's amazing how the driving style there has evolved over the years. Contemporary cars go through there flat.
Yeah, there's just so much more grip now than when we used to run here. We used to have to actually brake and go down 2 gears for that corner. Now it's just a lift, if that.
Yeah, and I think tire technology and obviously
definitely. But the crowds would gather during the American Le Mans Series Petit Le Mans to watch the might of Audi and Peugeot go flying through there with just a whisper from those turbo diesel engines. Crowd down here in 10. Joey Atterbury.
He's hanging on here.
Jonas Kazimets in the 71. And Matt Plum squeaks through under the bridge in the 13 with that right rear fender still flapping. Let's go to Darren Law.
Hey guys, I'm here with Roddy Sterling Jr. and the Moon Pie Mustang.
Yes,
you guys
sir.
just led a couple laps here. How was your first run in the car?
Well, the first stint was good. I noticed some problems early on where something's wrong with the engine. We're thinking we're not pulling quite as much power. Dean got in the car and noticed it. Immediately was pulled like 15 car lengths. So we have some issues there we need to address, but during practice we ran strong, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. You know, I mean, it's racing, so things happen. But I'm confident about my driving and Dean's driving, and I look forward to it. It's a great series, and we're at a great track and have a great sponsor, so I'm happy. Life's great. Thanks.
All right, good deal. Back to the booth, guys.
Doing a great job right now. I mean, Dean Martin has won a bunch of these races when he and Kenny Weldon were teamed together, and he can really hustle one of these Mustangs around the racetrack.
Mustangs have been having an oiling issue of sorts, and it's not every racetrack that this develops on. Certain racetracks and certain configurations, they're having aeration of the oil, which is causing some further problems.
Let's get you up to speed now. Just under the 1 hour mark, John Edwards brought the number 9 Camaro in. Now watch the 92, the car to the outside.
Wow.
Thank goodness for front wheel drive.
Yeah. Roll me through again.
Number 45. Making it stop. Presumably its final one. Battle here in the ST class. The 4 and the 24 getting ugly. And again,
that looked about like the other one did.
Yeah, a little bit of argy-bargy there. They both continue, and we didn't hear a penalty for that incident. Got EFR, Elliot Forbes Robinson, as the driver assistant in terms of helping out the race steward here this weekend. So it'll be great to see EFR up in the booth and really analyzing some of these contacts that we've seen on the racetrack.
It's something I really like what they're doing right now. When we see a contact between 2 cars, they look at it, they review it, they discuss it, they have a driver there, get the perspective of a driver, and then they make their decision. So, you know, I applaud them for the effort here.
just under 49 minutes remaining. We've had 7 overall lead changes. 8 different cars have led the race, and there will be more. Before we check her, PricewaterhouseCoopers 250 from Road Atlanta. Stand by. There's evidence of the battle going on. Back at Road Atlanta, just coming off our 3rd full course caution, setting up for a great dash to the finish. Let's get right down to the pit lane and set it up, beginning with Darren Law.
I'm here with Nick Mancuso from the Aston Martin team. Nick, you guys have been fast all year, but you haven't been able to get to the top step of the podium. You got something for him?
Well, first off, Chris Neville, I must say you look much more handsome the last time I saw you. The Lake Forest Sports Car Citadel Aston Martin is great. Multimatic guys gave me an awesome car. Frankie's in 3rd right now, I believe. Just got to pick up 2 spots, and then we can have yellow all the way to the end as far as I'm concerned.
All right, good deal. The yellow helped them for fuel, so they're good to go.
Why does everybody pick on Chris Neville? Well, we'll let him explain. Here's Chris.
Yeah, those drivers being funny down there, but not so funny. Derek White is having a big hit early in this race. First of all, you okay? And what happened?
Yeah, I'm good to go. I got a little extra patent than other folks, but you know, it was one of those situations where we had a loose nut behind the wheel. There was plenty of Mazda, but unfortunately ran out of talent.
Well, hey, a big weekend for you guys, always supporting our troops and everything. Anything you want to say this weekend?
Yeah, you know, just appreciate the car that the Freedom guys unloaded. The car was fabulous. Just didn't get it done, but want to give a special hello to Lieutenant Colonel Tim Anderson and Stephanie at HMH 366 Cherry Point. Go Hammerheads.
Booyah. Now, before we go green, we want to show you the reason for this full course caution, and it was a big one. It happened out in turn 7.
One of the corners you don't expect to have problems with. You see Chris Puskar go off the outside. Front-wheel drive car. He's trying to save it, but it hooks on him, comes straight across, makes big impact, almost turns upside down, breaks the radiator, which made a big mess on the track that needed to be cleaned up. There's the car on the flatbed. You can see the extensive damage, mostly just front end, but terminal.
And Chris Puskar did climb out okay. 2 other cars stopped on track under that yellow. They have both been pulled off. And we are ready to go green once again with less than 26 minutes remaining here at Road Atlanta. Stay with us. Scary fast is Talladega. Scary fast is Road Atlanta. Up on the flag stand, Tony Miller still has the double yellows in hand, but we expect a green flag shortly here at round 4 of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge for 2013, the PricewaterhouseCoopers 250.
It's going to be somewhere around 18 minutes or so of sprint racing left to go.
And all the hitters are right up front. This should be something.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Let's take a quick look at what's happened so far in the race. Great battle in ST all day long, but this was the opening lap. Red Odosky getting a little bit wide in turn 1. Got away with that one. Bad action a bit further on.
This here, again, contact, which drew a penalty. Longy got tagged right there.
Jade Buford pulled in shortly to make the penalty. This was
Derek Whitus.
Derek Whitus again.
And that was a big hit, too. Not nice to see him sitting there okay.
This is what you don't want to see. 2 team cars attacking each other down in turn 10.
Something went wrong there with the 34.
Day was over for the 33. 34 did eventually get a penalty. Then one of the Bimmerwald machines that have been so strong here today got turned around down in turn 6. Seth Thomas. Oh, this is Seth Thomas, actually. This is a big impact here. Broke a tie rod, I think, on the left front suspension.
Contact here between 3 and the 92.
Yeah, the 3 car involved there, and that's one of the cars that just got towed away.
We talked about it at the top of the show. A lot of race cars on an unfamiliar, fast, high-speed track. And that means contact.
And that's when it was calm. Wait till this goes green.
Let's get more on the 3 with Chris Neville.
Yeah, Dorsey, you were just talking about that car being towed behind the wall. Just checked in with the team, and Jason Saney was behind the wheel. He initially lost 3rd gear, then lost 4th gear, so they decided to park the car. Sitting 4th in points right now, so this weekend going to be a big hit with them. They've been doing pretty well this year with the 3 and the 5, but they've really just got to try and get some consistency going.
Gearbox issues. That explains why he just parked up there.
Yeah, none of the front runners in the championship having a good day. We saw Whitus's crash. We saw Seth Thomas involved. We see Saney now retired. Carl Gimple, Ryan Eversley. They're all the way down in 16th position in class right now. So they'll make up a few points. But if they were having a great day, could have really made a charge up to the top of the table.
Watch Andy Lally in that 38 Porsche. I'm thinking he's going to give a move on John Edwards.
Under the bridge they go. Off comes the safety car. Anticipating a green flag, and it waves.
I think for Andy Lally, think about it. He's really not in a championship charge. He's not doing this on a regular basis. All he wants to see today is a win on what is now his adopted home turf.
Took a pretty mellow approach to that. I thought he was going to be a lot more aggressive, but
it's going to be interesting to see what this run bum machine can do with the damage to that right rear fender. How much of a hindrance is that down these straightaways. Can Matt Plum get up onto that podium here today? Edwards is second in the championship right now. He leads 20 points behind, but he'll really cut into it if Matt Plum doesn't make any hay here in this last 19 minutes.
Saw a bit of sliding around. That was a long yellow flag, so those Continental tires cooled down just a bit.
Edwards and Lally really doing a good job of working the draft together. They're not messing with each other because they're wanting to pull away. Those two cars up front, if they can wrestle their way away from that crowd behind, it would be pretty smart to do so.
That 08 car is not a car for position, so they're just clearing that traffic there. But the rest of these guys are definitely in the mix for this top 6, 7, 8, 9. Espinal right there.
I think that's what Lally did. That's why he didn't push too hard in turn 1. Oh, who are you talking about a save? Look at this.
Ooh.
Holy cow. That was a lot of handful of cars.
Oh, I got it. I don't.
I'm not surprised he doesn't have a flat
Here we go. Here we go. Exit of turn 11. Lally looking for the long way around. Edwards is defending vigorously. And look at this. That's allowing Frankie Montecalvo to close in one of those Astons.
And you got to watch that third place car with Montecalvo because he can get the run down in turn 1. A much preferred pass. Oh, look at Andy.
This, wagging the tail.
Man, he threw that Porsche to the inside.
Edwards was holding the middle of the road to deter Andy from making the move. He said, I'm coming. Dove it down the inside, but had to gather it up.
He was coming. I'm not sure with the wing or with the headlight, though. It's going to get pretty ugly.
And again, he's not in it for the championship. Jim Norman, his teammate, is really not in the thick of the points right now. They've had some problems this year, but he'll be going for broke. He wants a win here. Calcium Pro cars look strong all day long.
Got a good run there.
Yeah, he did. Edwards came so close to victory at Barber. Plum got away in the last 20, 30 minutes of that show.
While we watch this battle, there was a change of the lead in ST. Terry Borcheller went back to the front.
That BMW battle has been raging all day between he and Chris Bloom in the 80 Bimmerworld machine. Now demoted to second.
That Plum there wagging the tail of Rum Bum Porsche. Lost a little grip there as he got up on the curb.
It's Klein Irving in the mix.
Yep, more door to door.
Defending series champion.
Boy, that's got earmarks of a big one.
Oh, man. Wait till we get to the other end of this straightaway.
There's a lot going on there.
Let's hear more about the Borcheller pass with Chris.
Well, Bob, right before that caution, I checked in with the team, and they were going to be a little bit short on fuel, so they were happy to see that caution going very long. They said they're in good shape now. They can definitely make it to the end of the race. They think they're in good shape with the Continental tires, too. I asked them about the Mazdas and the Hondas behind them, and they said, you know, we just feel that rear-wheel drive at Road Atlanta is obviously the way to go. We see those front-wheel drive cars just burning those fronts down a little bit coming out of turn 7.
Meanwhile, up front, John Edwards holding off Andy Lally, but only just. Nick Mancuso right there in third.
And for Andy, I mean, he's wanting to attack, but he's got to keep that eye on the rearview mirror. One mistake, you try to attempt to pass and don't make it, well, it slows both cars down. The third place car is going to go right by you on this long straight.
We saw earlier in this race, Lally really sort of like leapt away from Edwards when they were charging their way back through the field, but their lap times are very similar right now. So Edwards has certainly got that Camaro working well. They've had a subsequent pit stop. Maybe they changed the tire pressures on that Stevenson Camaro, and looks really balanced right now. And Frankie Montecalvo in the number 16 car, these yellows have really helped them. They're doing this race on one stop, so 2.5 hours on just one stop for fuel.
Darren Law is standing by with Mike Johnson.
Mike, you guys are running well. Are you good on fuel, and do you have enough to keep those guys behind you?
Yeah, fuel's not an issue. I think we're in pretty good shape. Right now, our biggest problem is that back straight. Car's really good all the way to turn 6, turn 7, comes off 7 pretty good, but you can see pretty well on TV the Porsches and the Astons are pretty good down the back straight. And I was here when Andy Lally won his first pro race in an F2000 car. He's had a lot of wins here since. It's his home track. It's going to be tough to keep him off, but if I was going to have anybody in the car, it'd be John Edwards. And the way he's doing right now, he's holding him off a lot longer than I thought he could. So we're actually pretty hopeful right now.
All right, back to you guys in the booth.
Also a home track for Mike Johnson, whose old Archangel Motorsports team, winners of a sports prototype title, were based here for a half dozen years or so.
And Andy won races for that team.
Absolutely.
So we have Camaro, Porsche, Aston Martin, and Mustang in the top 4 positions with less than 15 minutes remaining in round 4 of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge for 2013. Stand by for a great finish. Welcome back to a beautiful day at Road Atlanta. Over the rise they come. John Edwards leading Andy Lally and Frankie Manicalvo in a great battle in the GS class.
The one thing I've seen John Edwards do is control a race. He's a pretty smart driver. He squares these corners up, slows them up, the momentum right here, and then launches. And that Camaro launch is really good.
Look at this battle. Oh,
there's the contact.
Tags the championship
And it gets
knocked off the road.
Top three, or the four there got knocked around.
Everyone was stacked up there at the apex of turn 10, and Charles was just too committed, coming in there really deep and had nowhere to go. Plows across the grass and runs into the side of the run bum machine. There could be some damage to that car.
Now, Bill, a big wreck there.
Oh, big.
Head on with one of the, I think that's one of the Mustangs.
Is that Dave Empringham in the number 15? No, he'd be in an Aston. No.
That was a big hit. I just caught that off the top of the frame there. Was talking about Billy Johnson and the other Roush
Ian
Mustang.
James possibly in the 158.
I think that is.
Our fourth full course caution. Damage on the number 48 from fall line. That's Charles Espenlaub.
I believe that may be Ian James in the Mustang.
That was a big hit. I just barely caught that. I was looking at Roush's car when I saw that car go in.
So lots of cleanup to do here with 12 minutes plus on the board. Edwards still holds track position in terms of having the lead with Lally all over him. This may take a while. Look at the stack up here, and suddenly Espenlaub just goes to the grass, and that's not going to slow you down enough with cars right at the apex. Gets into Plum initially, then he gets into
Atterbury. Spins him around too.
Let's get down to the rum bum pits and Chris Neville.
Well, Bob, we're just going to take a second here as Joe Vardy's trying to talk with Matt Plum and try and decipher how much damage is on that championship leading car. Trying to figure out if all the tires are up on there. He sounds like he's having a difficult time talking to Matt right now. So I think we're going to try and let Joe do his job down here and make sure he can focus on the championship for a minute.
I think looking at the car, Chris, that the damage may be between the wheels, so he may have got away with one as opposed to getting suspension damage, but I think Joe may be ready to talk. Chris?
Joe, you had a chance to talk to Matt out there. What kind of shape is the rum bum Porsche in?
I don't know. The steering wheel is kind of off to one side right now. He took a pretty hard hit, and we'll see what happens when it goes back to green.
What's the plan here with the championship?
We're just going to try to get as many points as we can right now.
Yep, got to keep it out on the racetrack.
Yeah, 20-point lead coming in. Don't throw it all away.
There's the 48, which has come to a halt. We have confirmed it is the number 158 Ford Mustang from Dempsey Miller Racing. Ian James, the driver. There you can see the impact.
He's climbed up on the guardrail over the top of the tire wall. It looks like Ian trying to get out, but the car is sitting in a funny angle for him to do that. Take a look at the top of the frame here. This is where I saw it. He just got
big
loose
slide
and nowhere to go. That speed, and he climbs that wall and stopped really quickly up against concrete.
Yeah, I mean, the Aston was a way back from him. I don't know if there'd been maybe a little bit of a rub coming down the hill before you turn in.
He's
to
up
get
and good.
into that big lurid slide.
Glad to see that. That was a big hit because he's climbed over the tire wall. That dissipated a lot of the energy, but he got hard into the concrete above it.
Yeah, he got caught underneath that length of white conveyor belt they used to wrap the tire wall.
We used to call him the young Englishman, Ian James. He's not young any longer, so that's going to hurt more.
Yeah, it will. You're right.
Boy, without that barrier, that could have been so much worse.
Watch it this time. Now, he gets sideways, he's got full opposite lock, and
see the Aston, though, Dorsey, like a car length or so back? I mean, he may have got a little nudge going down.
It's hard to say. Not from that frame. We can't verify it, but he was loose when he comes in the frame, and he had some opposite lock in, and unfortunately ran out of road on the outside there.
The tire barrier did what it's supposed to do, dissipate all the energy of that incoming race car.
You're going really quickly there. That corner on the bottom of the hill is over 100 mile an hour. You know, easy. These cars probably run about 115 in there, I'd guess.
There you see the elevation change from the top of the hill under the bridge all the way plowing down into turn 12. Right by that curve is where I feel right at the turning point. If he got a little nudge, you have to sort of certainly lift in one of these cars. We're going to have another look at it, Dorsey.
Yeah, this is real time. This will show you how fast you're going here. You'll be coming right here.
That was a biggie.
Yeah, it stopped fast when it got to there. Like you said, that conveyor belt wrapped it up pretty good.
To Chris Neville.
Well, Ian James, co-driver Roger Miller down here in pit lane. You've had a chance to talk to Ian on the radio. What did he say, and is he okay?
Ian says he's okay. He was coming down the hill, and he thinks that there was something left on the track by the 13 car, and he came loose coming down the hill and went right into the wall.
Wow, scary moment.
Boy, that it was.
Could have been some fluid from the damage, even Espinlad's car or the 13 car possibly. Espinlad pulled off to the side of the road, so possible front end damage in the radiator area.
You could see in that replay, the 48 was ahead on the road, and you can see the damage and the reason there might have been fluid left behind. We'll take another break and return to Road Atlanta. Less than 8 minutes remaining here in round 4 of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge for 2013 at Road Atlanta. Still cleaning up following a heavy impact by Ian James and his Mustang into the tire wall right at start finish.
Question becomes now how much damage to that tire wall, and can they effectively make those repairs in under 8 minutes? You know, they're going to have to first get that car out of there, and then they got to deal with all the tires that have been rearranged and that conveyor belt. And I'm thinking, looking at this, that it's going to be a lot to do in 8 minutes.
If they can drag it out of there, they can get it off the racetrack relatively quickly there to the Continental Tire pit lane, just to the right there, which is the pit entrance.
Yeah, it's the tire wall's the issue, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you see they're already ready to start working on it. They got the car out.
Yeah.
And remarkably, the car appears to be able to roll on all 4 wheels pretty freely.
That's a testament to that tire wall for sure. I mean, that's one monster hit that you take down there.
Stevenson Group is certainly hoping that this tire wall takes some time to fix. Andy Lally and Jim Norman are thinking otherwise.
Yeah, you got 2 points of view there. One saying, come on, stop it, stop it.
Now they've got to hook this up.
Yeah, they got to drag that out.
Take a while.
Yeah, and then they got to work on that tire wall, because that is a very big impact zone, as we just saw.
Well, while we have a moment, we want to tell you about one of the nice events that took place earlier this weekend, last night in fact, as John Maddox and the boys from Roush Racing held their annual barbecue. The weather was damp and cool, but people showed up to benefit Camp Boggy Creek.
Let me tell you, that's some good barbecue that John makes there, too.
My.
A bunch of people out, and it was very cold last night, rainy, nasty weather. Didn't deter anybody from going, though. And there, that's what I like, a one-liter ice cream machine. 1938 motor driving a double churn ice cream machine.
I didn't get any
No
ice
calories,
cream.
though, right?
What was the flavor?
Whatever you want it to be.
Barbecue?
Barbecue.
Yeah. Barbecue ice cream. Let's join Darren Law.
Guys, I'm here with Charles Putnam from Fall Line. 48 car looks like it's heavily damaged. What's going on? And you guys going to be able to get it back here?
Well, we don't think we're going to be able to get it back, Darren. Charles has just checked in briefly, trying to do a little damage check there, but it looks like we've lost a radiator and oil cooler. Don't know if we had a failed ABS sensor or what, but he had a little bit of a lockup. Said he felt like he got in too deep, and he had some contact. Haven't been able to get the whole story out of him yet, but it looks like we're probably pretty well done for the day.
All right, day's done for these guys.
Yeah, that's a rough one. And I think this fluid, talked about a radiator and cooler damage, that would be what Ian James got into.
Yeah, absolutely. It very much could have been that. You could see the car in a big slide, so.
Well, while the cleanup continues, we'll take another break and be back with more, hopefully a green flag conclusion to the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, PricewaterhouseCoopers 250. Stay with us. Back at Road Atlanta, still under the full course caution, 4th of the day, here at the PricewaterhouseCoopers 250. Round 4 of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge for 2013. Now 4 minutes remaining, and the clock is running.
Saw that Marshall there kind of waving his arms like no go, like there's maybe too much damage to that tire wall to do a quick fix.
That's what I was afraid of, too, because it's not just the tires, but they have to band those tires together. As you saw, that conveyor belt, that big piece of rubber that goes around, it really ties the whole thing together. Without that, you know, the integrity is compromised. So,
well, the car itself is on the rollback.
And think about this. I mean, John Edwards came into this race 20 points behind Matt Plum and Nick Longy. I say Edwards and Bell, but right now Plummer's down in 10th, so this is going to be a massive point swing.
Here's the incident again, upper left of your screen. Here comes Ian James. Can't get the car straightened up.
Ooh, frightening crash right there. The speed.
And once again, the walls here at Road Atlanta are not very far away, so you can see why those tire walls are so important.
We talk about this track being old school. It is still a hairy old place, though. There's a lot of high-speed sections with not that much runoff, even with these tire bundles. And
that corner's always been fast from the very first day. But I mean, when you look at the proximity of the cars as they reach the outside of the track, and then where that wall is, then multiply, the fact that they're doing 120 mile an hour in there. Well, that moment that you just saw didn't even take a millisecond to happen.
And if Ian James was correct that there was fluid on the track, then there goes your braking. See the clock ticking your way. Let's have another look at our race recap. It has been an action-packed day here at Road Atlanta.
started right at the start here. Red Odosky gets a little bit wide going through turn 1, doesn't have the grip. Underneath him, quick spin, no harm, no foul. He continued.
Nick Longy right here getting hit by Jay Buford. Turns him around, and of course Jay did get a penalty for that.
And Derek White is a big one up into turn 3. Admitted a little bit of driver error here, just got a bit wrong, and you can see the consequence. That's our championship leader, done for the day.
Then it really all got going in the ST classes. This teammate crash happens down in turn 9.
Two Skull Candy Nissan Altimas getting together, and somebody off at the back in one of the 360 Compass Hondas. More pirouettes.
Firma Worlds were having trouble down in this turn. The 81 car goes for a ride, and then Seth Thomas gets turned involved with Ray Mason. His day was over in terms of damage to the front end of that car.
How about this save?
Yeah, that was a good one. There, front wheel drive pulled him through.
It's Kevin Boehm in the 92, and another one from the 4 of Jorge LaRue.
And these are the most recent, as you saw right there. Charles getting loose, getting into the run bump, turning around the 51, and then Ian James, the most recent, huge crash down in turn 12.
Coming up on 1 minute on the clock, and it appears we will not restart this race. And that means that a victory for the Stevenson Racing Camaro is the 4th for John Edwards in the series, all with co-driver Matt Bell, who picks up his 6th win.
This is huge in the points. I mean, they came in here with a 20-point deficit by winning here today, and right now the Plum car runs in 10th. If they finish that way the last 30 seconds or so without any issues, they will be just 3 points behind going into the next round of the championship.
Get the white flag, one more round, or can pass. Obviously, it's going to be behind the pace car, but anything can happen. If you should break down right now, well, you're tough luck. You're going to lose that position. Shouldn't happen, though.
Victory in the ST class will go to Terry Borcheller and Mike Lamara in the 23.
That's cool, because those guys felt really unfortunate about missing that win at Coda. Finished on the podium. It was still a great day, but that's a really neat little team. Got some great personnel there. Very well run, so congratulations to that group.
13th career win in the series for Terry Borcheller, but the first for Mike Lamara. Congratulations to him.
Hate to see the races end this way, but glad to see Ian James walk away. I mean, just a testimony to the safer barriers that we have here, or the safe.
Yeah. One of the cars that made the best of that, if you want to call it that, was probably Billy Johnson in the Roush Mustang, who was really never much of a factor. Ends up coming all the way up there to a 6th place finish.
Keep talking about the Aston Martins knocking on the door. Well, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, they still can't get that win. Larry Hott said, I need a win with these cars. We've got the speed, we just need to execute. And I thought they did a great job today with the strategy, splitting the strategy with a 16 car going on a 1 stopper and 2 stops with the other cars. But again, they just had the wrong track position at the end of the race.
Looking at the 23, that is your ST class winner, Terry Borcheller, and then BMW pulls this one off.
Great day for the 80 machine, though. They had the lead a couple of times. Looks like they're going to finish 2nd. And defending series champion Pierre Kleinubing gets on the podium for the first time this year.
One more trip down the backstretch. Down toward turn 10, that has seen so much action today and so much contact.
Alcaro had a great run in the 45 car. His teammate Hugh Plum was up in the mix there for most of the day. Al's going to finish 8th in the B Positive Foundation 4-line BMW.
See the 3130 Pierre Kleinubing and Matt Pombo side by side team photo op.
Under the bridge one final time. down to turn 12, and the checkered flag awaits for John Edwards and Matt Bell in the Stevenson Racing Camaro.
His teammate is Matt, there's Mike Johnson. Great job by the group. Just missed out on victory at Barber.
And there's your ST winner, Terry Borcheller, who brings it home for co-driver Mike Lamara. And a wave to the fans. Not the way everybody wanted to race it to the finish, I'm sure, but still a great day here at Road Atlanta. And we'll hear from our winners when we return. Victory Lane coming up from Brazelton, Georgia. Stay with us. Beautiful day for a little golf, a little taste of the bubbly at the wine market at Chateau Elan. Here at Road Atlanta, it's been a great day. Marred slightly by a finish under caution. You can be sure that won't dampen the enthusiasm of the winners. Let's meet them now. Chris Neville is in Victory Lane.
Yeah, it was a missed shift at Barber that kept these guys off the top step, but not today. Boy, you had Andy Lally breathing all over your back, but you kept that thing out front.
Yeah, that was hard work. I think we're lacking a little engine, but what we lack in engine, we make up for on the brakes. And that's fine over a lap, but it's stressful during a race when he can get alongside you like that. So awesome racing with Andy. Awesome racing with a lot of guys in this field this race. I think this is the first time in about a year and a half that we finished a Continental race without a scratch on the car. Even our last win at Laguna, we didn't have a bumper. So really happy about this win. Happy to pull off another one for Chevy.
And Matt, great points weekend for you guys because the Rum Bum guys had a hard problem. So a 17-point deficit, now only 3 points. You guys are in this hunt.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising. I don't think we've ever been in this position before, but really the team's working better than they ever have before. The pit stops, I think we gained something like 10 seconds in pit stops today. Everyone's just doing working overtime. The engineering stand, they figured out this car without too much testing time. Obviously, we were rained out yesterday, so I'm just completely impressed with everything. The car was exactly what we needed of it. John, just had an incredible drive. So, yeah, I mean, so far we're looking pretty good in this championship.
Yeah, high fives. Team owner John Stevenson down here giving his boys some big hugs.
Terry, great win, buddy. Tell us about your final stint and the team and the car.
Well, we had a good run. The whole race was really good. There was a lot of things going on through the middle of the race, and I had a really good run with the Bimmer World car, who was racing me clean, and we were making a lot of passes back and forth. But, a win comes from a lot of effort from a lot of people. First, my co-driver, fantastic job all last year, all this year, and then Keith Burton with the team and all the team members. I mean, it's just been a real strong effort for a long, long time, and we finally got a win.
Good job, Mike. This is your first win, huh?
Yes, it is. It is. It's exciting. Thank you, Terry, Keith.
And when are you going to be in a race car, Darren Law? When are you going to be back in a race car?
I don't know. We'll see. I'm having fun with the TV right now. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks very much, Darren. Congratulations to Mike and Terry. Here's a look at the unofficial results in the ST class. Borcheller and Lamara up top.
Strong run from Kleinubing there in the third spot with Jason Clooney. Matt Pombo and Ryan Ellis had a great run there. Trinkler and Fergus, I think they could have done a bit more if we'd run green to the finish.
And the results in the GS class. Topped, of course, by the Stevenson Camaro team of Matt Bell and John Edwards.
Big picture here is a huge point swing, as we talked about early in both classes. This opens up the door for a brand new season for these guys.
Let's get down to Victory Lane once again, and Chris Neville.
Well, it was a great battle playing out front. Andy Lally, probably the guy who's got the most laps around here and any driver in the field, and you really took it to that 9 car down here in turn 1 trying to get the lead.
I tried, man. We had a little issue with our clutch sticking on the floor, but I got to thank, first of all, Guard Transmissions, GT. Those guys did a heck of a job because I was beating the heck out of that transmission. Jim started the race, did a really good job for me, handed me a perfect car, and BGB gave me a real good balance. Spencer Pompelli normally drives this car, and I'm lucky enough to just come fill in for him. I tried to take it to that Camaro, but the thing's good. It brakes really well. It accelerates well. We got a little bit on the top from him, but he was wide enough and he was blocking, but I'd have done the same thing. It's for the win at Road Atlanta. It's what we're trying to do. We're all trying to win, so it's all good. It's all good. It's defending. Defending. He says it's defending.
Doc, you're picking some super subs this weekend, and you're having an incredible year, man. I think I want to go to Vegas with you next week.
Yeah, look, I'm really fortunate. I'm fortunate to be surrounded by guys like Spencer and later David. And right now, Andy had just a great drive. Amazing fun to watch.
Well done, guys.
Thanks.
Hey guys, I'm here with the 80 car, the Bimmer World car. Got Connor and Greg, and this is the first podium for these guys. How was the final stint?
Ooh, it was tough. Porsche Heller drove a great race, and I'm happy to be in the Continental Tire Series with the Bimmer World car.
All right. Greg, the first run, the first stint in the car?
It was great. What a great experience. Continental Tire did a great job with the tires, and just so excited to be here. Thank you to the team. Bimmer World did a great job.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, thanks down there in Victory Lane. We've been talking about the points, and here's how they stand unofficially in GS.
Well, it's very tight at the top. There you can see Edwards and Bell have really tightened things up here. Kazimierz and Marcel, they're in the mix as well. Pompelli, Norman. Well, I think actually it's just going to be Jim Norman just 24 points behind with Pompelli not running here today.
And in the ST class, another big shuffle.
3-point swing right there now between first and second, 4 down to third place. Really close race, and Calvin, this never disappoints us. Continental Tire Sports Car.
Widest all the way down in 6th there after a DNF here today. Gimple and Eversley, they look strong also.
Back down to Chris Neville.
Well, Frankie Montecalvo and Nick Mancuso, great run today. You saw a great battle playing out in front of you. Did you have anything for that Camaro and Porsche?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely had a good car at the end there, and I was just trying to hang with him until the last final laps. It was, I mean, Multimatic, and the guys played a great strategy, held us up there. Nick did awesome, and I was just playing it out, see what they were doing, and we were hanging with them. So hopefully it could have went green at the end, but it was a good car, good race.
Nick, you guys have really had a great run this year, but back at COTA, the car couldn't run because of that build issue coming out of Aston Martin. So you guys would be right in this championship otherwise.
Yeah, we're a little bit on the back foot, but it allows us to take some strategy gambles. Multimatic guys did awesome. It's actually my first professional podium. I've been bridesmaid a few times with some 4th places. I'd like to give a quick shout out to everyone in Boston. We get to play with some fun race cars, and they got some real problems, but everything's good now.
Well, congrats with the podium, guys. Darren?
Pierre, good run to the end there. You guys came on the podium, first one this year. Do you have anything for those guys in the end?
Oh, I thought we did, but I had a lap car on the way, and just kind of took it away. But we had these Continentals are awesome towards the end. They stayed with me. I thought I had a really good car in the end, but we'll never find out, will we?
All right, good job, guys. Jason, good run. Back to the booth.
All right, thanks very much. Aside from the yellow flag finish, pretty interesting race today at Road Atlanta.
Never disappoints. This class is the best. Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge is the best racing in North America. I really believe that. They show it to you every weekend.
It was exciting, and when we look at the championship chase, boy, what a turnaround here today. I mean, 2 teams in both classes had big leads coming in. They've been wiped out.
And that's the way it's going to be all season long. A long wait for the next round of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. It'll be coming your way here on Speed June 23rd at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for joining us from Road Atlanta. For Calvin Fish, Dorsey Schrader, Chris Neville, and Darren Law, I'm Bob Varsha. So long for now from Brazelton, Georgia.